Okay, so this is Twitter that you've heard me talk about before. And if you've never seen it, this is basically what it looks like. Looks a little complicated, but really it's not. Once you get used to it, it's simple. Okay, what you're looking at is the view from my account when I'm logged in on the web, and yours will be different. Obviously, you won't have an Income.com logo like this and a little color scheme like this. It's just how I have customized my own account to look this way, which is pretty cool. You can customize the look and feel of your account. And then when people actually view your profile to look at your information, they'll be exposed to the customization. So anyone that comes to my profile on the Twitter system throughout their network, they see this view that you're seeing, at least the color scheme and with the logo and everything. Now, it's too bad I can't make this logo clickable. That'd be pretty cool, where people could just click that and end up on the site, or putting hotspots here for anything else I wanted to promote. Currently, you can't do that, or at least I haven't figured out how to do it. I imagine maybe eventually there'll be a way to do that, but right now you can't. But it's pretty cool, at least just for branding, to put maybe your company logo or your name or something if you're going to be using Twitter, which I highly, highly recommend that you get used to using Twitter on a regular basis. Now, you can, of course, come in here on your own, and you should, and poke around and follow their help documents and kind of figure out all the individual features. I'm not going to go into all the individual features here. I'm just going to cover some core ones and help you how to use it for marketing. But if you come in here, basically, this is kind of like my homepage, per se, for Twitter. So what I'm seeing here in this view is like the timeline of the most recent Twitter posts from people that I follow. And the top one is the most recent one. And imagine if I refresh here, it's probably going to move down and we'll see some new ones. Sure enough, the one that was just at the top is down here now. So a lot of activity, a lot of people making posts all the time. And of course, you can come to the bottom of this and click older and find your way going back through some of the older ones and keep going and see kind of a history, in case obviously you can't be monitoring this 24 hours a day. But this is kind of my personal timeline for my account, for the people I'm following. So this is the big foundation of Twitter. What you see on your account when you're logged in like this and you're just kind of looking and seeing the activity that's going on, the posts that you get that you'll see here, someone's picture and whatever they're saying, is based on who you're following. And you can follow anyone in the system. Once you look at someone's profile or you're exposed to something someone posted in the system, you'll be able to follow them. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And then once you're following them, you'll always see every post they make show up in your timeline. Of course, if you're not seeing it as soon as it's made, you can go back in the history and it will be there in the order in which it was posted, but it'll start adding it to your account. So, like me, once you start following a lot of people, this currently shows my followers, 2,282. And then this shows the number that I'm following personally, which is what's showing up here. Oh, that's the difference. Sorry if I confused you. So who you're following is what shows up here when they make little posts. So I'm currently following 2,200 people. And followers is how many people are following me. So when I make a little post, if I write in this little box up here, my entry like this will show up in their kind of little timeline here, just like theirs do on mine. And then, of course, you can send a direct message to someone. It's like a little mailbox. It's kind of a pain in the neck. I wouldn't recommend doing it much. I would, just email someone if you have their email address, because it's kind of a pain to go in there and reply from there. And it's just, if you can't say it publicly, and if it needs to be a private message, I don't suggest using the direct message functionality. Same thing with Facebook and these other sites. It's usually better to use email. Facebook may be a minor exception for sometimes, but so as you can see, I got 176 private messages that people have sent me, and I get a lot of direct contact from people, and it's almost impossible in most cases for me to reply to everyone, just because it's, in this case, in this system, it's very, very hard to reply fast. So I don't recommend that you direct message people. Updates are my updates. I've made 408 little post entries in their system so far. And of course, I can click this archive right here, and it's going to show me the kind of history of all the little posts that I've made. And you'll notice the site's running kind of slow because it's trying to load right now, just because Twitter's going through some growing pains and they've had some downtime. But this shows all the posts I've made and the date it was made, the time it was made. And so if someone's following me and they see one of these entries, someone can always like click my photo or my name, and then they come to my profile page showing my last post. This is a post I made 5 hours ago. So I got up early this morning to come in here and actually record what you're listening to and watching right now. So it can show me information about the person. So this is your profile. You can set this information. So here I've got a link that jumps right over to income.com. So that can help me drive traffic from Twitter. You'll want to do that. You can put other links in here to your other sites. You want to kind of don't go crazy and spam like a ton of URLs in here, but you can put more than one. So anytime someone is checking out your profile, which happens a lot, Twitter's very viral because as people follow you and people make comments about you, which I'll show you in a moment, other people will get exposed to you that aren't following you, and then they may be curious, and then they click your name, and if they like what you have to say, then they'll start following you. Remember I talked about you have to constantly think about what's in it for them. Yes, people are following you on Twitter and interested in your Twitter post just for the sake of being a fly on the wall and what's going on in your life. But for business, ultimately, and for good marketing, they're there for value because hopefully you'll be posting links to other stories you found on the web to deal with your market, or that you've just made a blog post or something that may be of interest to them. So keep that in mind. You got to balance that out of posting good value and then just posting the personal stuff. So, I mean, a lot of people are just using this for personal reasons and to keep in touch with their friends. That's what most people are doing on Twitter. But the people using it for marketing, where they're really communicating with customers and prospects of their business, you don't want to post as much personal stuff as you do links to good resources and stuff related to your market. You just have to balance it, a little bit of both. But that's all this is. And so if we go back, jump back to kind of my main view, where you saw those tabs where my main timeline is, and then it says archive I just clicked on. If you click everyone, it's going to show you a timeline like this for everyone on Twitter, the millions of people, and what the most recent posts are. And so, as you can imagine, that you refresh, and anyone you've seen is scrolled way off the page because thousands of them are happening all the time. Not really a big reason to ever monitor that much. Obviously, every time you post, yours will show up there if anyone's ever looking at that right after you posted, but it's just something you don't really need to worry about. So that's archive. So now the other cool thing is this replies tab. So when you click that, it's going to load in just a second here. It's going to show all the people that made a Twitter post that was kind of addressed to your attention. It's public, though, so it's not a private message. So all these entries here are people kind of talking to me or about me to get attention, to get my attention, that is. And so these are considered replies because they put the @ symbol in it. So here's how Twitter works. When you make a post, like here it is, what are you doing? So you could type something in here about I'm currently whatever, and then you update, and then your little entry will get made on all the people's like little home pages like this that are following you. And it'll go in your archive as well, so people can always see it at any time. Well, part of the format of Twitter is if you ever want to get someone's attention, or you're ever referring to someone, like if you're saying, I'm currently on such and such's blog, this is a great post. The etiquette is anytime you kind of reference another Twitter user, you want to mention them in your Twitter post, and the way you do it is with the @ symbol. So, for example, if I knew someone or was doing something related to somebody, let's say, and their name was Bob Jones, and that was actually their Twitter username, I'd say like, hey, I'm currently checking out the latest, I can't type today, the latest blog post by, and then I'd go @ Bob Jones. And so when I post that, everyone that's following me will see that I said that, and the @ Bob Jones turns into a link just like this John Reese link is. So anyone could click that and go check out Bob Jones's profile and see what they're posting and then try to follow them if they would like to follow them. So that's what the etiquette is. That's why you see the username of the person. This is, of course, the photo that goes with it. And you can click that in either one and go to their profile and see their latest Twitter posts. Or any of these at names in the posts themselves go to that person. So that's kind of the etiquette. You always want to mention someone you're talking about, or if to make reference to them directly, of course, you definitely want to do that. Because when they click the replies tab, they can see all the recent Twitter posts that reference their name in some way, either where someone's trying to get their attention, like these people are all like asking me a question. They saw that I posted, I'm up early to prepare for a long day in the recording studio, and so several people are asking me a question. What are you recording? What are you recording? Do you have a recording studio at home? Or do you go somewhere to record? Looks like he's trying to say John. He had a misspell here. So you can see that. These are all in the last whatever. This is the history of it. And I can flip through here. And, of course, only I can see this. But these are people that are making entries and trying to get my attention. And sometimes it's not necessarily to my attention. It's referencing someone. You can see here, I recently talked to, this is Brian Clark, a very popular blogger. I made a comment to him where I said, hey, such and such post that you made is bouncing between number 1 and 2 on our traffic jam site. And I was just letting him know that. And I just totally goofed up and realized it wasn't for him. I meant to say it and send it to this other guy, Darren, and that's his username. So he corrected me. He was like, that's Darren, and then put in his Twitter name and said not me and put a smiley face. So what's cool is he made this comment, and a lot of times you'll see this line, in reply to. So when people are making entries, you'll see like in reply to sometimes. And if you click that, it will show you the original Twitter post that someone is then making a reply to. So you can kind of follow the conversation so you're not just totally lost. And so I had made this post and I had directed to that guy's attention. I said, hey, your How to Be an Interesting Blogger post has been bouncing between number 1 and number 2 most of the day on Traffic Jam, which is one of our sites. And then he replied and said, oh, that's not my post. That's this other guy. And of course, I then wrote back and said, I'm an idiot. Sorry about that. But so you use the at thing anyway, so to get people's attention or to make reference to someone. Like he was talking about this guy Darren, and that's Darren's username. And so it's just etiquette that he just put it in there. And Darren would actually see this entry as well under his replies. It doesn't necessarily have to be the first person. Anyone that has their name in here will see it under their replies tab up here. So if someone writes something that you want to reply to, you can click this little curved arrow here to reply to that person. And again, this is all public, so everyone can see this. Or you can click the star if you want to favorite a certain entry, and then it'll be listed under your favorites. So later you can come and see all the ones you've favored, all the individual entries. So if somebody makes a good entry where they're linking to some kind of really good resource, you may want to favorite it. And it's like bookmarking it, and you come back and see it later. And other people can see your favorites too. So if I want to reply to this person who says, hey, what are you recording today? Because they saw my little update there, I'd click this, and immediately it puts in at and their username for me. So then I just type my message and I'll update it. Everyone will see this message because it's in the public timeline. But this person will actually see it also, not only in the public timeline if they happen to be loading it while mine is still on the screen, but also it'll show up under their replies. And that's why it's kind of separate, which is good, so you can always see who's trying to get your attention. So I click reply, and then I can make an entry. And then if anyone actually sees that entry, it'll say in reply to, and it'll say their name, and they can click it, and they can see that this was the original question that someone asked me, so they can kind of follow the conversation. But the other etiquette is when you kind of talk to other people publicly about things, you kind of want to make it descriptive about what the original question was, so it's not just vague answers, so people are just like, what are they talking about? Since it's public, the etiquette is kind of to try to include as much as you can about the original question. For example, if someone asks you a question, and so like I'm replying to this person, they said, what are you recording? And I could say, I am currently recording some footage for Traffic Secrets 2.0, and this is being posted live, so now you're famous. So I'll post that, and then they'll actually get that message. But if I jump back to recent, which is my main timeline of all my followers, my posts show up as well. So there's what I just posted. And all the people that are following me, all these 2,200 people, they're all going to see this if they load their timeline anytime soon, or if they're online right now. And so they see that I responded to that person, and then they could click this and see what the original message was to me and kind of follow the conversation that way too. But so, I mean, that's pretty much it. So what are you doing? You can make a little entry. You can say, hey, I'm currently looking at this. Now, the system was really kind of originally designed for mobile phones. So you can Twitter and send an SMS message from your mobile phone to a certain number. I think it's like a 5 or 6 code ID that's in the SMS system for it relates to Twitter. And so if you make that post from your phone, it'll automatically add an entry like this to the entire system. Just as I used this form here to make the post and said this, I could have done that from my phone. That's how powerful Twitter is. You can be anywhere, and you can say, hey, I'm currently stuck at the airport, and everyone will see it just like they see this message. So it's very, very powerful. And, of course, you can get updates on your phone. When anyone that you're following posts a message, it can show up on your phone. I've disabled it, though. That's why I have web only on the device updates. And you can go in the settings and set some more detailed settings. Because otherwise my phone would be going crazy with text messages all the time with all the activity I have. But one thing I didn't show you here is, so if I click on that person's name, that woman that asked me that original question, she's obviously following me now. And we'll see here in just a second. Again, Twitter's going through some growing pains, so it's kind of slow to load. So this is the person. This is their profile. Here's a link to their website, some information about them. It says who they're following and their followers, and so you can click and see who other people are following, which is pretty neat. And this is the timeline, the order, with top is the latest, of this person's Twitter posts. So you can see people are mentioning blog posts and blog URLs. But notice this, it says follow under the name. I'm currently not following this person. They found me somehow and are following me. So I'd like to follow them back. So I click the follow, little follow button there. And in just a moment, actually it should happen in a second, but Twitter's very, very slow. They're unfortunately they've had a lot of downtime recently where they go down and they come back up. But okay, so now it updated. It says you're now following Coco Craft. So now anytime she makes any post at all, it'll show in my main timeline area. And this, of course, if I ever visit someone and I am following them, this lets me know, hey, you're following them. And you can go into your followers list and stop following people or even block people if you want. So, again, you can come in here and find out your own settings. But look, this is her kind of like homepage and her layout that she made. Just made it blue, so you can make it whatever you want. You can kind of brand yourself. But that's the gist of it. It's not that complicated. And how you want to use it for your marketing is post URLs to interesting things you're finding on the net related to your market. If you make a blog post or add some good content, post the URL to it. That's great. People like to keep up with your blog posts. Some of the biggest bloggers in the world don't post a lot of personal stuff at all. All they're using this for is, and it's fine, people don't care, all they're using this for is every time they make a blog post, they just post a Twitter entry. It just says new blog post, and then they just put the URL. And so I'm following several different blogs that way just to keep up with as soon as they post. I like to go over and read it. So that's another way that Twitter's important. But so there are going to be a lot of strategies for Twitter. Keep up with the resources section for this CD in particular, and we'll keep that up to date. And I'm sure in our community, a lot of people will be talking about things they've tried and things that are working. One more comment to mention. When you post from a phone, when you post a URL of some sort, they use this tinyurl.com system. You can actually see one of the URLs here, and it will auto-convert a long URL into a shorter one. That's because you're limited by 140 characters for each post, so it automatically does that. Now, if you're going to be posting from the web like this, and by the way, there are multiple Twitter clients and other services that use this API that Twitter has. It's basically kind of like a gateway to their programming where you can create your own applications and pull Twitter data and allow people to post to Twitter from like other sites and services, other software. So there are other clients out there. And a lot of times you'll see them like it says Twitbin here, or it says, let's see, a lot of people use Twirl. Right here, posted from Twirl. So this person isn't using, they didn't post this with their phone. They didn't post this with this web-based site logged in on Twitter itself. They're using some other software that they have on their computer called Twirl. It's very popular. And so people are kind of advancing what Twitter's done and making their own ways to communicate with Twitter. And we'll link to some of those in the resources section for you to check them out. And some of them have some advantages that you may want to look into. But if you go to post a long URL in here, like to someone's blog post, you're going to have to shorten it up to get it to work with Twitter. One of the things I like to use is a resource called Snip URL. So it's SNIP and then URL.com. And you can create a free account, and then you can copy and paste a long URL, and it'll give you a shorter version. Then you copy and paste that into Twitter. And the cool thing about that service is it will track the number of clicks on that URL, so you can log into your account and actually get a good feel for how many clicks came from you posting that. And, of course, you can keep tabs on the activity that you're getting when you post certain things and use that information to help mold your strategy to get even more people to your blogs, your blog posts, anything else you share with Twitter. So that's just an overview of Twitter. You should set up an account, start using it, start following people, and get involved with it. And over time, as you see my account, you'll notice that my followers number will really start to grow. As I've actually never really actively marketed my account much. I mentioned it once before to my list, and that's it. And I could, do some kind of marketing campaign where I offer to give someone some sort of incentive, like a special video series or report or something if they add me on Twitter. Like I already mentioned, if you want to get people to do things for you, if you incentivize them, they're more likely to do it. So I'll probably be doing that in the future. I've kind of been holding off, waiting for Twitter to kind of become more stable and get their technical problems ironed out. But once they do, I'm really going to go crazy and push this hard, because I believe that Twitter is going to be a very, very valuable way to drive traffic to your sites and to announce that you've put up new content and all those other things I've already talked about. And so I think that it's going to hold its position in that response hierarchy that I showed you, where it's only going to be under email, where aside from email marketing, Twitter is going to trump everything else as far as keeping in touch with people, announcing things. And when I show you Facebook in our next lesson, you'll see how my Twitter posts and activity automatically gets syndicated to Facebook. So anytime I make one of these entries, anyone that happens to be checking out my account, my profile pages on Facebook, will also see my latest post. So keep in mind that I just posted this where I answered her and I told her that I'm currently recording some footage. And I'm going to show you that in the next lesson, how we're going to see that right on Facebook. So this is Twitter.